Well guys, it's a flattering camera angle for you all.
Hello everyone, it's your boy Karl here, and I'm back again, I suppose.
I know I'm at the ripe, young, old age, I don't know, what do I say in that circumstance? I have no idea. I'm at the ripe young age where university stuff is always gonna try and interfere. However, there's a lot on that front. That is in a separate video that will hopefully be coming very, very soon. There's also other things, and by the time I upload this, actually, I think I've started a new series. I think I have, actually. Yeah, I can confirm that. I think I have, actually. So if you haven't started watching that yet, please go and watch it. There'll be something in the top right, is that right? Something in the top right. Click on that, go and see it. I'm sure it'll be a lot of fun. So yeah, there's a lot in the pipeline for you guys to enjoy. However, what the bloody hell is this video, you're probably asking? And you've probably already seen in the title, so there's no point in me explaining. But I'm going to anyway. So, yeah. I'll hand you over to Future Karl now so he can explain what the bloody hell is going on. So, Future Karl, take it away, my man.
Cheers, past Karl, let's get to work then. So the other day I was sat in the corner of a circular room and I was thinking about video ideas to do. I was thinking, well, maybe the F1 career mode, I can do episode 2 and then just try and carry on, but it takes me so long to edit and I don't think I have the effort and time. But then, out of the blue, came a fresh idea. Wait a minute, I play piano. Except not that much, because clearly I'm doing a flipping series on it. What do you think I am? Some kind of fraud? Basically, I've been playing piano for the best part of 9 years, and I've achieved grade 8 in that time. However, I've constantly said to myself that I don't really practice enough. Which sounds really weird, but you'll see what I mean. Basically, it's going to be split up into 2 parts per day. I've got scales as one of the parts, and then pieces as another one. And for that latter part, the scales, I downloaded a Wheelspin app, put all the scales in there, it all looked crisp, I recorded it, put it in the project folder, and it looks like this. Yeah, I don't have an explanation for this one either. One could say that was a very green pasture I went to, am I right? But I thought it was maybe because I transferred it directly from my phone to my computer, so I emailed it to myself, transferred the email over, like a saucy bus, put it in the project folder again, and it looks like this. Honestly, you could literally play a game of football on this screen. What is even the point? However, let's not get bogged down by that. I did actually take a screenshot, which I remember to put on the screen right now. Basically, I've got the scales, I've got the arpeggios, all of them, and then the articulation, so legato, staccato, like you saw there, what hand I should use, if hands together, hands separately. You get the idea. There's just a lot of stuff, basically, and I don't like it very much. And I'm also setting myself a 30-minute timer for each of those sections, so half an hour to do both of them at minimum, and I'm pretty sure I will say that very soon anyway because I'm an idiot and I completely forgot that I said that just now, so that's just lovely, isn't it? I've realised at this point also that I've done it again. I've also realised at this point that I was covering my microphone while recording most of this, so sorry guys, I hope you enjoy the quality content I have to bring you, because this is as good as you're gonna get it. So yeah, it's Sunday the 20th of October as I record this. It's coming up to about 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and the idea is I'm doing an hour a day with piano. So this is like a little diary kind of thing, if you catch my drift, hopefully. So you'll be able to see the kind of progress I make, I suppose, and it'll hopefully motivate some of you if you play music to play more music. I didn't even know what I was saying then. How am I going to know what I'm going to say now? But yeah, here's the piano I'm going to be working on. It is a Knight upright piano in my music room. And a nice pink pencil there, Karl. Quick disclaimer, pink pencils are cool. Thanks. So introduction-wise, you've heard all I've had to say, really. But this is week 1. Of the month. I maybe do more than a month if you guys want it enough. You probably won't, but this is just something I wanted to make anyway. But there you go. Right, ladies and gentlemen, time is 3:30. My family are talking, but I'm going to start anyway. Let's get this underway. You can see me in the mirror as well, I think. Hang on. There I am. Look, it's my back. Oh, I'm so sad. It's unbelievable. Anyway, time to get started. Lego. Alrighty, here is day 1 of this piano adventure kind of thing, piano logbook, whatever the hell you want to call it, I don't care. But these are genuinely my first moments playing piano as like proper practice, properly, in about a month. Which is not great at all, considering I've done all the grades and whatever. I should probably still be keeping it up. That wasn't English. I don't care. I'm carrying on, guys. I think this little sequence here just shows that not keeping up with practice just detriments it so much. But beside that, there's a dog that was barking. I'm looking after it. It's not my dog. Make of that what you will. I should probably mention that while this isn't my dog, it's not just some random dog I took off the street. I am actually looking after this dog, but please don't call the police on me. Regardless, here comes my first piece of advice. You can see that I have slowed it the hell down, and that is probably my main piece of advice when it comes to doing scales and whatnot, or just anything really. And every teacher that does music ever will say this: if you can't do something first time fast, play it slow. For the love of dog, just do it. Because it's muscle memory at the end of the day, and it works. That's my philosophy anyway, and I mean, what the hell is this, Karl? Just stop it, please. But that's my kind of method of doing it. Play it slowly, then I do dotted rhythm, so da-da-da-da-da, whatever scale. Then reverse of that, slowly a couple of times up and down, and then put it all together. Sounds something like what you've just heard there, hopefully. But onto staccato now. I'm going to stop the footage here, because look at how tense my wrists are. It's unbelievable, and that's a problem I've had for ages. I'll explain it in a moment, but yeah, I can feel it. It's honestly really hurts. Wrists are tense. This is my problem, okay. The main problem I'm having, my left wrist in staccato is so tense, so unbelievably tense. Probably because, I don't know, just breaking it several years ago have a fact I don't know, it might do, to be honest, but it's just getting very stiff, and it's not great. A very questionable smile there from me, but we move anyway. This is eventually what I ended up with. It's good speed, but like I said, my wrist tension overall, you can see it all through my arm as well. I'm tensing my whole arm to get that staccato in, and that's not what I should be doing. Generally, I should be trying to breathe through the scales and just trying to relax. It's very difficult for me to relax though, because my whole arm's just tense all the way through. Just really annoying. But there you go, what can I do? So you heard there, scales a third apart. This is a sixth apart, B flat major. So again, never done the scale before, just kind of separate it all out. Try to make sure that it all kind of worked. And in the end it did. In the end it did work, and it was actually pretty damn good. And in the end I get bored and I just mess around. Which is what I kind of do, because otherwise keys become a blur and it's all a bit weird. Next up, an arpeggio. This was first inversion G major, but I ran out of time. So that didn't happen. I should probably mention at this point as well that I have done most of the scales at least once before. Just when I said that B flat major a sixth apart is one I've never done before, genuinely, I've never done it like that before. Because grade 8, ABRSM's the board I do. And they only give a select amount, which is weird, because I thought grade 8 you just have all the scales ever. But there you go. Cheers, lads. 30 minutes already, Jesus Christ. Time really flies by. Once you get like really honed in and focused in on it, time just goes quicker than you think. Honestly, wow. Okay. Well then, I'll take that. Bit of a break. Rest my wrists and my hands a bit, and then we go again for another 30. That's what it's going to be like every day. So there's no rest for a Karl. So the piece I have chosen is a grade 7 piece. It's a presto from a movement in a sonata in F by Joseph Haydn, and you can tell I can't wait to get started. Anyway, onto the piece. You can hear in the background, separating out the hands again, just like I did for scales. That's probably my main advice again for piano. Make it hands separately. If you're really struggling, separate out the hands. Just make sure that muscle memory is there. And anyway, animal problem aside, and who's now in the background, eventually the hands get up to speed, or in this case the right hand just gets up to speed, and all is good on that front. Then eventually the left hand gets to work. I think what's important about practice is that practice doesn't just make perfect, it also makes permanent. So if you keep imprinting a mistake, it will definitely still be there when you play it next. So just be careful on that front. Just make sure that you get it right, play it slower if you need to, get it right, and then you'll be fine. But yeah, I'm just keeping on carrying on, basically, getting the fingers to remember those patterns, getting the muscle memory working. After that, for me, it's a case of reverse engineering the phrase. So starting at the end of the phrase, adding bars in before, and putting it all together. Because then I think my mind isn't clogged up by the beginning of the phrase. So hopefully you get the idea. But yeah, that's what I do. So after the first day, or the first half hour of learning the piece, this is where I got up to. Enjoy. Alright then, here we are, second day, starting off with scales once again, and we had a bit of a problem. Wasn't anything to do with me, but you'll be able to hear it in the background very soon. I tried to play through all of the dog barking, but it then descended into anarchy.
This dog is what I have to deal with, guys. I love her. She's a pain. We've gone so far as to draw the curtains into the music room, so, ladies and gentlemen, that's what it looks like now. Dog's not getting it.
So the doggo issue out of the way, I decided to carry on as normal with the scale I was doing, E flat major. However, I was really paranoid about whether the dog was getting through. So I carried on, hoping that everything was fine, and she's a good dog, really, so we carried on as we were. And I think the important thing that I wanted to get out of my system first is trying to get the tension out of my wrist as much as I can. Because you can see, legato and staccato, they're just tense. You can see my whole arm is trying to work, and it should really just be a relaxed process. As much as it can be, anyway. But, yeah, that's the annoying bit, and that's something I'm going to have to work with. You can see staccato's, again, the worst example of this. It's a bit better. You can see they're slightly working, but not really. But what can you do? It's a little bit annoying. So, yeah, once again, like I said yesterday, separating out the hands, just take it slow. If it doesn't all work, just separate out the hands. Trust me, it makes a world of bloody difference. And it's certainly... Sorry, just had to appreciate that lovely flourish from getting that wrong. That was fantastic there.
It gets to that point in scales, ladies and gentlemen. Problem is, if I do it for too long, I just get frazzled. It just looks like gibberish to me after. I don't know. Do other people playing piano get that? I have no idea. But I just look at the keys for too long, and as soon as you hit scales for such an amount of time, for me, it just gets hypnotic. It's like, I don't know how to explain it. It's weird. It's weird. I wouldn't say it's detrimental, actually, I can't lie. I think it's just interesting to know that I still get like that frazzle, so I just need a minute. I just need a minute to like... I don't know. To relax.
And oh boy, did 15 seconds of messing around help a treat.
There it is.
Get in there, Lewis.
So not a bad effort in scales at all. I'll give it a 6 out of 10. It's good, but there's improvements to be made. Onto the piece now, same one as we did yesterday, of course, and you can tell that it's definitely a different segment because it is night time. It is, in fact, curtains closed, nothing to see here as I separate out the hands once again. At this point, we're getting down to the end of the first page, so it's not a bad effort at all, really. So this little bit here is just before the end of the first page, so we're motoring along quite nicely, actually. I'm pretty happy with this.
I love the next bit. I've just got to show you guys this. Here's the left-hand bit. Thanks for coming to my piano lesson. I'll see you again soon.
Anywho, despite the repetitive left hand, we move on to the next bit, and right hand has a nice little moving bit, and then left hand and right hand are kind of repeating each other here, but a bit trickier, and you'll see that some of the notes I make to myself are very critical.
Big jump than you think, moron.
Lovely notes, but then bit of slow practice later. We eventually were getting there. It was all going very smoothly here in this recording, and oh, we've run out of time again. But to wrap up the second day, here's what it all sounded like when put together. Enjoy. I can't be bothered to make this seem dramatic anymore. Here we are on the third day. It's the morning, and once again, we are doing scales as per the format. And I think, once again, it's much of the same, really. Just, once again, I want to get tension out of my wrists. That was the most important thing for me, and I was taking it very slow at times. And the problem with me is I hate going slow. That's the thing. I hate having to slow things down. I just want to be able to just go 1,000,000 miles an hour and play anything. But that's not how it works, unfortunately. As much as I wish that it was. But there you go. That's the annoying bit. However, scales today were feeling even easier. I think that's just a general progression that I was going to see by doing the practice I was doing. Just an eventual... just ease in the wrists and also better grip of what the scales should be, because ideally what I want to get to is be able to see a scale and first time go, yes, blah blah blah, next one, but just need a little bit of time to get used to that. Today I decided to do something a bit different. I kind of glossed over scales a bit, went straight to arpeggios and diminished sevenths and dominant sevenths and all that kind of jumpy area instead, because I'd hardly worked on them until that point. So I just decided that was a good idea, and in the end I'd like to think that it was, because I was definitely getting somewhere with it. Speaking of jumpy, here's Jump McGee, which is scale in octaves, one hand. This was in G major. Wrist here felt a bit lighter actually. You can see it moving at least a tad, which is the start really. And then also here's scale in thirds, one hand. Just, again, it's getting the wrist nice and flexible. It's just something I have to work on eventually. By eventually, I mean now, of course. Towards the end, went for one more scale, but guess what happened next? If you said being sent to the Shadow Realm, that's 10 points for you. And back to the piece once again. So, this third day, not completely nighttime. Instead, just about nighttime instead. My piece of advice for the piece, or pieces that you are doing, is if you don't make as much progress as a previous day, don't get disheartened by it. Certain bits are going to be more difficult than other bits. So I think at the end of the day, do the best you can and try not to get your mind burnt out by it. Because that's the worst thing that can happen, is that you get through one day and you just think, I don't want to do this anymore, because you couldn't get through 4 bars. And I've been there. I've been there too many damn times, and it's really flippin' annoying. So just take it easy, take it a step at a time, because honestly, the reward will be so much better if you just stick with it and take it nice and slowly. For someone who has car in their channel name and talking about going slow, I don't really think that suits the mantra very much. Absolute limbs. Raucous behaviour. No matter, I eventually bucked my ideas up and stopped throwing limbs everywhere and got there in the end. So just don't get annoyed, as much as that's something I really struggle with, getting annoyed. So I just need to try and keep positive as much as I can.
Left hand's nice and fun again. Get ready. Thanks for coming to Piano Lesson 2. See you again next time.
Anyway, despite another easy AF left hand, the next bit, very similar to the first bit of the piece, once again, then the melody goes into the left hand. And that, in the end, is all I really had time for, which is unfortunate. But day 3, not too bad at all. Here's how it all sounds at the end, and I will see you for day 4.
how many bars in? Is that 66 bars of the way in. The whole piece is 140 something, 147. So not a bad start. We're getting somewhere. Yes.
Here we are then, and while I said that I'd be back for day 4, I lied. I'm really sorry. However, I do realise that if I keep it as a separate day format, it'll probably be over an hour. And you've seen enough long videos from me, even though this is going to be provisionally half an hour as it stands. So, sorry again. So a combination of me not wanting to bore you and not knowing what the hell I want to do with this series, I'm going to condense everything into one massive clump in sections. Starting off with scales. Oh my life. So down to business. Days 4, 5, 6 and 7 combined into one massive clump. What could possibly go wrong? Pretty much everything. However, we start at the very beginning. Once again, staccatos are all looking very tense. Day 4, I got very unlucky. I got a lot of staccatos. Or lucky, depending on how you look at it. Midweek, I was feeling a bit more relaxed, I think, in my shoulders mainly more than anything else. I think that was what was important here. Wrists, I'd kind of accepted that tension was going to be there for quite some time until I could, like, properly find an exercise to sort that out. However, shoulders were definitely feeling a lot less tense. I wasn't feeling like I had to completely seize up in order to play every single scale. So I was feeling a bit more relaxed, which is always a good start. Once again, same principles as I had before. Slow practice, eventually speeding it up, dotting the rhythms if I need to, etc, etc. You get the idea. Basically, many a thing to do for scales. But really, it was all going pretty well, as you will hear pretty much right now. Diminished sevenths aren't going too badly at all. Neither are arpeggios, actually. It's just getting, well, like I said, tension out of the wrist. I'm going to repeat that so many times in this video, I don't even care. But it is so important for me that I log that. Because you can see that it's just so difficult to get any maneuverability. That one was actually pretty good. And you can see that in my closed fist. But, yeah, apart from that, wrist tension is such a problem for me. Actually, chromatic is probably one of the only circumstances where you can see my wrist actually work. And now, in scales a sixth apart, turns out the midweek was actually very good. I don't remember it being that good. That's actually quite a shock for me. See, I'm learning things as well. I don't even know how, but there you go. What can you do? However, that went straight down the toilet again come the next day, in which my wrists once again seized up, but staccatos have just become that kind of thing. You can see in my fingers as well, my fifth finger is always so tense. Like, in my right hand in particular, it's always lifting up massively unless I actually need to use it, which for F sharp minor, I don't really, which is a problem. So you can just see the whole time, my far side of my right hand is tensed up in this claw. And once again, here, A minor, sixth apart, once again, finger decides to be completely tensed apart from when it's used, so it's just constantly lifting up. And that muscle shouldn't have to work like that. That's another thing I need to work on. But luckily, this is why I'm doing this, and this is week 1, so I've got, hopefully, plenty of time to sort that out. Arpeggio's still going very nicely indeed, so I'm happy with arpeggios. If anything else from this week, I'm happy with how the arpeggios are going. You can see that I'm repeating them quite a few times. So I generally go for, if I can do it 3 times in a row absolutely perfectly, then I know I've got it. So that's my kind of, my format for it as such. On to a new day, or night, as you can see. And you might be thinking, Karl, what the bloody Nora are you wearing? Well, basically, I do martial arts, and this I did this on Friday evening, and I just got back home, and I said to myself, before I get food, I'm just gonna smash scales out of the park, and that's what I tried to do in all inevitability. However, despite that, and thinking I'd be tense as hell, my right wrist was actually the easiest it had been all week, which is quite bamboozling, really. But I'll take it. I'll take it. It's good to see and look back on. I did D major arpeggio second inversion, and this happened.
Why does this one seem so familiar? It feels very familiar. I know we did E. We did A major, didn't we? Or something like that. I can't remember which. definitely very similar.
Me having a conversation with myself, lovely to see. Basically, I did A major second inversion, I think, yesterday or the day before that, and that's why it felt so familiar. But there you go. Chromatics, this is a minor third apart. This is one of the grade 8 things I had to do. Always great fun. More arpeggios. Like, I don't really know what to talk about anymore. You can kind of hear it for yourself. I think the important thing was that I was getting gradually more flexible in my wrists again. And that was just down to practicing a bit more. And you can tell I was quite happy with it. So there's always positives. But my rambling has took us onto the last day of scales. And you might be thinking, stop, what the hell is this setup, Karl? What have you done with your upright piano? Nothing's happened to it. This is just, I was doing scales later in the day. And so I decided to use this setup in my room where I couldn't disturb anyone. Because the sound does carry through the walls in my house quite a lot. Hence the new setup, and hence the fact you can see my facial expressions and me complaining that my wrists are tense even more than usual, so that's lovely. I think watching this brings me a very important tip for you all. Practice earlier in the day. Practice when you're actually awake, because otherwise you just burn out and it becomes very, very tricky to concentrate. Hence, Exhibit A mistake I've done here is practice at, this is 11:30 at night. I decided to practice this, and then also eye the camera because I was paranoid, like, what my battery was on, because I left my battery on 10%. So I'm concentrating on many different things, which is not really piano. So get in a focused mindset before you do anything. But if anything, I think this piano log shows that just practice takes a long time, and for some people that might not be your forte, or just might forte, get it, because music, haha. But at the end of the day, just keep focused as much as you can. Practice is a long process, and don't think that after a day you're going to suddenly become better. You will a bit, but it won't be like a massive leap. So it takes its time, and at the end of the day, the more you do, the better you'll get. So just keep that as motivation. Anywho, scales are done and dusted for the week. Fantastic. So that means there is only one more section to finish off, and that is pieces. So once again, format, this should really be called the piece section, because I'm not actually doing pieces yet. But at the moment, same again as I did last time. I think the main thing about day 4 onwards is that I kept reminding myself of what the before section sounded like. So I wasn't just going into a new section and then blinding myself about what the section before sounded like, as much as I've learnt it. So just keeping myself familiar of all the things happening in the piece. I think for me it's amazing to record myself practicing like this, because not only does it motivate me to practice more, because I have a muse in terms of actually practicing, which sounds really bad, but like I actually have the motivation, and at the same time I can give you guys an idea of what I do to practice. So if that kind of helps you, do let me know, because that will be very, very beneficial in terms of whether I decide to upload this again. But I think it's also so interesting for me to see the progression between day 1 and I think this is still day 4 that we're on at the moment. And it's just insane. It's insane to see that transition from only just beginning a piece to now being, this is 2 and a bit pages in. So that amount of information being taken in just 4 days is quite something, really. I'm personally baffled by that. I think many of you are probably thinking, actually, why did I choose this piece? Because I never actually explained why. As much as I joked about it earlier, me being like, wow, this is going to be great fun, I actually quite enjoy listening to this piece, so I just wanted to give it a shot. And at the end of the day, I think that's important when it comes to choosing any piece. Make sure you have fun with that piece. Because if you don't have fun listening to it, and you don't have fun learning it, then just in the end, the interpretation of it goes all over the place. So if, like, I chose a Chopin piece, but I love listening to it, but practicing it, I was like, oh, I can't be bothered to do this, I'm getting myself in the way. So you just got to kind of let yourself go a bit. Just let your mind relax and just go with the piece, I'd say. But we keep pressing on, almost done with this section, and Oh, hello. Dog's back in the background. That's always nice. Hello there, dog. How you doing? How's it going? The piece flows very nicely in terms of the melodies as well. So from section to section, it all just flows just incredibly well. And also the fact that Haydn generally has a way of being very quirky and fun in his compositions. And this piece is definitely an encapsulation of that style. Oh, hello. Back to new setup. What's going on then? I can't remember if I did this earlier in the video, while I'm whistling away the melody of at the end of page 3, but don't restart sections or scales. So if you start a scale and then have to restart it, just be very wary of that. Try your best you can to go from beginning of the scale all the way up, all the way down again. Or when it comes to a piece, beginning of section, end of section. Try not to restart if you can help it, or false start, as examiners will tend to use in their vocabulary. And I would know that because that's 2 of the corrections I got for my scales in grade 8. So that was good job, Karl. Well done, you. But onto the piece once again. This section, nice and quirky, same as the first section. You can tell I'm enjoying myself, or at least breathing in the music. So that's maybe questionable, maybe a good thing. I have no idea. My throat's getting dry. Oh my god. This little bit of the piece is moving in a sequence, so in terms of the next bar ahead is in a slightly raised key, so the melody's raised, but it's the same as in terms of the steps in between, the intervals. I don't know. I don't know how to explain it, but it's just quite a nice section at the end of the day, and very enjoyable. Especially the last bit, you can hear suspensions underneath, and it all just sounds very lovely indeed. So Haydn, you did a good job. Well done, you. One of the things I'm completely aware of, and I can see while I'm doing this, is that I love to learn the bit I'm doing before I play it. So you can see, but most of the time, here I'm not actually doing a good example of it. I am actually looking at the music, which is really annoying. But you'll see most of the time that I'm looking just at my hands, because I've just learnt the section, because I don't even know. I just hate sight reading, basically. Just never been good at it. So I just tend to learn the sections, hear the melody in my head, and hopefully when I glance at the music, it's all correct. Day 7 kind of just didn't happen. What happened is that the next morning I had to learn a hymn for the beginning of a church service. So, playing the organ, which is, for all intents and purposes, is actually quite fun. So, not too bad. But I do have a voice memo of the final section that I did manage to learn. So, without further ado, here it is. So, ladies and gentlemen, that concludes week 1 of the piano log.
Here we are then, ladies and gentlemen, for my final thoughts on what's transpired. I think it's very interesting. I've said this many times while recording the voice underneath, but I think it's very interesting to see a progression from the first day to the end of the week. I think it's quite baffling, really, and I don't know, it's nice to see. It's nice to see at the end of the day. It motivates me a bit more, which is good. I think main focuses over the next few weeks will be just loosening up my wrists and just staying relaxed the whole way through. And not getting annoyed when things go wrong and actually being positive about it, hopefully. Yeah, I don't really know what to say. It's been a good first week overall, I'd say. I learned quite a lot of that piece, and scales are getting better and better by the day. So that's always good. Until the next week, I will hand you over once again to me to round off the video. Take it away, me.
Thank you all so much for watching this. I know it's a bit different. I know it's something you probably weren't expecting. However, I do hope you enjoyed my insight and just this complete mess regardless. If you did enjoy, that reminds me, leave a like on the video. Also, leave a comment down below saying that you enjoyed it. I just need all the feedback that I can for this, because that will make the difference between me actually making a second episode or just not bothering at all. It won't make a difference to how much I practice. It's just that I don't know whether I'll upload it. So, I don't know. It's all a big experiment this first week. Who knows? Also, if you haven't watched it already, the other new series that I've started, The Legend of Zelda Twilight Princess in Spanish, which has just been a complete car crash. But go watch it. It's the most fun thing I've recorded on the channel ever. So go watch it. I don't want it to flop. Please. Until next time, follow my social medias, Twitter and Instagram at KarlsCarsYT. I post there quite regularly so you can catch up on all the happenings in Karl's world. It's been a pleasure rambling at you all today, and I'll see you soon.